Books is a not-for-profit radical bookshop and community space located in West Adams, serving as a bookstore, event space, and co-working area. With free Wi-Fi, a computer, printer, and a fully stocked free store, we hope to serve the community as a hub for community building while also addressing the material conditions of Angelenos. All power to the people. So yeah, y'all should definitely check them out if you're in the LA area. They're super cool over there, and it's a really cool, unique space. So I'm gonna start on chapter 5. I'm probably only gonna read for a little bit. I'm still trying to test things out and try different settings. So chapter 5 is called The Prison Industrial Complex. For private business, prison labor is like a pot of gold. No strikes, no union organizing, no health benefits, unemployment insurance, or workers' compensation to pay. No language barriers as in foreign countries. New Leviathan prisons are being built on thousands of eerie acres of factories inside the walls. Prisoners do data entry for Chevron, make telephone reservations for TWA, raise hogs, shovel manure, and make circuit boards, limousines, water beds, and lingerie for Victoria's Secret, all at a fraction of the cost of free labor. Linda Evans and Eve Goldberg. The exploitation of prison labor by private corporations is one aspect among an array of relationships linking corporations, government, correctional communities, and media. These relationships constitute what we now call a prison industrial complex. The term prison industrial complex was introduced by activists and scholars to contest prevailing beliefs that increased levels of crime were the root cause of mounting prison populations. Instead, they argued, prison construction and the attendant drive to fill these new structures with human bodies have been driven by ideologies of racism and the pursuit of profit. Social historian Mike Davis first used the term in relation to California's penal system, which he observed had begun in the 1990s to rival agribusiness and land development as a major economic and political force. To understand the social meaning of the prison today within the context of a developing prison industrial complex means that punishment has to be conceptually severed from its seemingly indissoluble link with crime. How often do we encounter the phrase crime and punishment? To what extent has the perpetual repetition of the phrase crime and punishment in literature as titles of television shows, both fictional and documentary, and in everyday conversation, made it extremely difficult to think about punishment beyond this connection? How have these portrayals located the prison in a casual relation to crime as a natural, necessary, and permanent effect, thus inhibiting serious debates about the viability of the prison today? The notion of a prison industrial complex insists on understandings of the punishment process that take into account economic and political structures and ideologies, rather than focusing myopically on individual criminal conduct and efforts to curb crime. The fact, for example, that many corporations with global markets now rely on prisons as an important source of profit helps us to understand the rapidity with which prisons began to proliferate precisely at a time when official studies indicated that the crime rate was falling. The notion of a prison industrial complex also insists that the radical racialization of prison populations, and this is not only true of the United States, but of Europe, South an incidental feature. Thus, critiques of the prison industrial complex undertaken by abolitionist activists and scholars are very much linked to critiques of the global persistence of racism. Anti-racist and other social justice movements are incomplete with attention to the politics of imprisonment. At the 2001 United Nations World Conference Against Racism held in Durban, South Africa, a few individuals active in abolitionist campaigns in various countries attempted to bring this connection to the attention of the international community. They pointed out that the expanding system of prisons throughout the world both relies on and further promotes structures of racism, even though its proponents may adamantly maintain that it is race neutral. Some critics of the prison system have employed the term correctional industrial complex, and others penal industrial complex. I'm gonna highlight that. I'm sorry, my bad. These and the term I have chosen to underscore prison industrial complex all clearly resonate with the historical concept of a military industrial complex whose usage dates back to the presidency of Dwight Eisenhower. It may seem ironic that a Republican president was the first to underscore a growing and dangerous alliance between the military and corporate worlds, but it clearly seemed right to anti-war activists and scholars during the era of the Vietnam War. Today, some activists mistakenly argue that the prison industrial complex is moving into the space vacated by the military-industrial complex. However, the so-called war on terrorism initiated by the Bush administration in the aftermath of the 2002 attacks on the World Trade Center has made it very clear that the links between the military, corporations, and government are growing stronger, not weaker. A more cognate way to define the relationship between the military-industrial complex and the prison-industrial complex would be to call it symbiotic. These two complexes mutually support and promote each other, and, in fact, often share technologies. During the early 90s, when defense production was temporarily on the decline, this connection between the military industry and the criminal justice/punishment industry was acknowledged in a 1994 Wall Street Journal article entitled "Making Crime Pay: The Cold War of the 90s." Parts of the defense establishment are cashing in too, sensing a logical new line of business to help them offset military cutbacks. Westinghouse Electric Corp, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Co., GDE Systems, a division of the old General Dynamics, and Alliant Tech Systems, Inc., for instance, are pushing crime-fighting equipment and have created special divisions to retool their defense technology for America's streets. The article describes a conference sponsored by the National Institute of Justice, the research arm of the Justice Department, entitled Law Enforcement Technology in the 21st Century. The Secretary of Defense was a major presenter at this conference, which explored topics such as the role of the defense industry, particularly for dual use and conversion. Hot topics: defense industry technology that could lower the level of violence involved in crime fighting. Sandia National Laboratories, for instance, is experimenting with a dense foam that can be sprayed at suspects, temporarily blinding and deafening them under breathable bubbles. Breathable bubbles. Breathable bubbles. Breathable bubbles. Breathable bubbles. Breathable bubble. That's a nice little trigger word, huh? Breathable bubbles. Stinker Corporation is working on smart guns, which will fire only for the owner, and retractable spike barrier strips to unfurl in front of fleeing vehicles. Westinghouse is promoting the smart car in which many computers could be linked up, with big mainframes at the police department allowing for speedy booking of prisoners, as well as quick exchanges of information. ... But an analysis of the relationship between the military and prison-industrial complex is not only concerned with the transference of technologies from the military to the law enforcement industry. What may be even more important to our discussion is the extent to which both share important structural features. Both systems generate huge profits from the processes of social destruction. I'm gonna highlight that one too. Both systems generate huge profits from processes of social destruction. Precisely that which is advantageous to those corporations, elected officials, and government agents who have obvious stakes in the expansion of these systems begets grief and devastation for poor and racially dominated communities in the United States and throughout the world. The transformation of imprisoned bodies, and they are in their majority bodies of color, into sources of profit who consume and also often produce all kinds of commodities, devours public funds which might otherwise be available for social programs such as education, housing, childcare, recreation, and drug programs. I'm going to highlight that too. The transformation of imprisoned bodies, and they are in their majority bodies of color, into sources of profit who consume and also often produce all kinds of commodities, devour public funds which might otherwise be able for social programs such as education, housing, childcare, recreation, and drug programs. So I think that's all I'm gonna read for right now. I wanted to keep this short since it's my first ASMR video. But yeah, let me know what you think. If y'all are interested in me continuing reading from this book or just reading from other books in general, I would love to share this entire book and, potentially read all of it with all of you. It could be like a little book club or something, an ASMR book club. That would be really cool. But yeah, I have a Blue Yeti, so I'm just kind of learning as I go. If y'all have any suggestions on what settings to use or how to utilize this Blue Yeti, leave a comment down below, or just I'm literally just trying to connect with y'all, so yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I hope y'all got some sort of relaxation or comfort from this. I've watched ASMR for years. I have a lot of anxiety, so it really calms me down and comforts me